The Southern Methodist University, which is not to be confused with the Northern Methodist.
The one in Dallas?
The one in Dallas.
Okay.
Those are the Southern Methodists. There's Northern Methodists, but they don't play football.
Didn't even know there were Northern Methodists.
As far as I know. There may not be. The Southern Methodists were 2-147 when they trailed by 21 points.
That's not good.
They are now 3-147 after rallying from a 30-9 fourth quarter deficit against Tulsa on Saturday. Sonny Dykes, Rhett Lashley, and the boys are 6-0 for the first time since the Pony Express went unbeaten in 1982. I'm Colby, that's Kyle, this is Bootleg. SMU finished number 2 that year in 1982.
They made a documentary about that team.
They did. Eric Dickerson, Craig James. They went 11-0-1, and they finished number 2. Do you know why they finished number 2 despite not losing a football game?
The tie?
The tie to Arkansas. Last week of the season, they tied with number 9 Arkansas, 17-17, and they dropped from 2 to 4. And then Penn State goes 11-1, and they win the national championship, but they lost by 21 against Alabama that year.
That's trash.
I feel like that cold case file needs to be reopened because SMU, in my humble opinion, based on math, deserves the 1982 national championship.
They do, but it just would have been vacated if they won it because the whole death penalty thing.
That's a good point. But
involving that team.
After everybody goes pay for play, can we revisit it and then give it to them, and then they get it?
Can we also give Reggie Bush's Heisman back?
Definitely got to give.
Because that's really dumb.
Very dumb.
That there's technically no winner that year, even though Reggie Bush definitely the winner that year.
We all know who the winner was. Yes. I like how the NCAA thinks that they can just take away a thing and then we'll all forget. They have the Men in Black pin, and they
and they're taking down Louisville's basketball banners and stuff.
Yeah, I'm like, whoa, Louisville was good at basketball? Reggie Bush?
Yeah.
Who's that? On today's show, we're not going to talk any more Men in Black, but we will discuss the FCS regular season matchup of the year. I'm comfortable saying that right now.
I'm ready to say it's the FCS matchup of the year.
Yeah, without a doubt. Might be all the college football matchup of the year. I mean, could be. We will introduce a new game inspired by our best friend Tate Martell. And I spent a few good minutes with Richmond's one-man wrecking crew, Maurice Jackson.
He's the man.
He is the man. But first, a quick acknowledgement. It's OU Texas week.
It is. Can I ask a question?
Go ahead.
Both Oklahoma and Texas fans, I don't know why, but they insist that their school be named first when you say the name of the game.
Well, sure, but I
didn't know if there's if I'm missing something.
Well, no, it's alphabetical order, so it's OU Texas because LMNOPQRST.
I know, but then Texas it's Texas Oklahoma week.
But why?
I don't know. I don't know why both care so much.
OU Texas. It's alphabetical order.
Okay.
If they can give you a reason that is better than alphabetical order, I'll wait.
Okay.
Then sure.
Okay.
I don't know, man. Longhorn's going Longhorn.
I didn't know if there was some backstory I was missing. That's all. Sorry.
They just it's age-old inferiority complex, man. Let me tell you. Oklahoma opened as a 10.5-point favorite. They are now an 11-point favorite. The game has been decided by a total of 8 in the last 2 years, so 11 seems like a lot. But
also Tom Herman really good as an underdog in winning outright and covering. So I think Oklahoma wins. I don't think it's by 11 points.
Fair. This is the game that got Mike Stoops fired a year ago.
Yep.
And it's an offense that, for the most part, scored with LSU when the Tigers got their jaw right. Well, I went like a New York accent on that one. Can you do it for us?
Got them boys, got the jaw right.
Thank you. They got their jaw right, and they won at Austin. In spite of that, Texas offense looked really good. for Grinch and that defense, this is the week.
Yeah.
This is when all the good things that have been said about Alex Grinch, and I've said plenty, this is when it all actually matters.
Preseason's over.
Preseason is over. The season starts on Saturday, and if Grinch and that defense can go out and slow down Texas, then okay. Then we're working with something here. Now we can actually, because I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago, I've been getting a lot of, oh my God, Oklahoma's going to win the national title text messages from people that haven't really been paying attention of late. And I appreciate that sentiment, but none of that is real until we see whether or not this Grinch defense can play with a contender. And Texas, as much as it pains me to say, they may not be back, but they're a contender again in the Big 12. And if you're a contender in the Big 12, then in a roundabout way, you're a college football playoff contender. Yeah.
Texas offense is really good. Sam Ehlinger has a ton of weapons, and then when those are covered up, he can beat you with his feet. Last week, he did that to West Virginia, who actually covered the Texas wide receivers really well. Now, it was without Colin Johnson, and he's going to play this week. And there's obviously just a different air about Texas-Oklahoma, and everyone rises to the occasion more than you're going to for an unranked West Virginia team. But that West Virginia defense had them in the game. It was 21-14 or so going into the fourth quarter. So if you're an Oklahoma fan, I think you have to be optimistic about that, the way the defense has played, and then what just happened last week. A couple interceptions and short fields kind of let that game get away. Mm-hmm. But no, this is the ultimate test, and also playing the best defense they've probably played this year.
Yeah,
and
you say that.
That's not even saying a lot, though, because the Texas defense is not great.
No, you're just
but it's the best athletes and size that they've faced all year. But I don't know. I think Jalen Hurts and that Oklahoma offense is going to score too much for Texas to overcome. I see it as like a 45-38 type of game. I don't know what.
That is about like last year. I mean, I don't think the Texas defense is great, but I do think that they are very, very good up front.
Mm-hmm.
And it's an Oklahoma offensive line that put 4 new guys around Creed Humphrey, and then the 4 around him have been rotating now for 5 weeks. It hasn't been the same offensive line combination yet this year. That offensive line against that defensive line, can they protect Jalen? Can they create lanes for Jalen, for Trey Sermon, for Kennedy Brooks? If they are able to do that, forget about it. It's going to be a long, long day for Texas. But if that UT defensive line can create havoc in that Oklahoma backfield, now you got something. Now you're feeling really good if you went Texas with the points. But, I mean, if the UT defensive line can win on Saturday, Texas as a team can win on Saturday.
After what I just watched last week, I don't think they're going to. I don't think they sacked Austin Kendall once. They did deflect a couple balls. They're very tall. But he was really under no pressure and went through the ball 50 times. They didn't even mess with that defensive front in the run game. So I think Oklahoma's going to be fine here.
Well, if they can protect, like I said, it's over with because that secondary, again, depleted. I think they were decent to begin with, not as good as they thought they were. Depleted at this point.
What are you talking about? That's DBU.
Well, Joey Burrow completed 85% of his throws against DBU for 438 yards and 4 touchdowns.
Uh-huh.
I like Jalen's odds against DBU, especially considering the secondary is weaker than the one that Burrow faced, at least in part.
It is.
I think, you could exhaust the Jalen Hurts versus Sam Ehlinger angle. I don't want to do that, but the one thing I do want to mention, Hurts has made 8 starts against top 10 teams. He's played 11 times against top 10 teams, coming in the other 3. The game on Saturday, if you ask Jalen and Ehlinger to power rank the biggest games they've ever played in, for Ehlinger, Saturday might be number 1, just because of where he's at in his career and what it means to Texas moving forward for the rest of the year. And if it's not number 1, it's 2 or 3.
Mm-hmm.
With Jalen, national championship, SEC champ. I mean, is it even in the top 5?
Probably not. The dude played in the Iron Bowl, started the Iron Bowl twice. He started in 4 college football playoff games, 2 national championship games, came off the bench when his team was down 14 in the SEC championship game to Georgia.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's likely not even anywhere near the top 5.
So I don't even know what that means necessarily, but if one or the other is going to be negatively impacted by the moment, you would think it'd be Ellinger, although he typically seems pretty unflappable. I just think Jalen is going to be the most calm, collected Oklahoma quarterback in this game that we've ever, which maybe it backfires. Maybe he's too calm, cool, and collected. I don't know, but you look at Jalen's track record versus what Ellinger has done at Texas in terms of big spots, and Saturday is big for OU fans and Texas fans and for the Texas program and for the Oklahoma program. I don't want to downplay it, but for Jalen, it's just another game.
Yeah, totally agree.
Hurts is an example of a transfer quarterback who chose very wisely when deciding where he was going to transfer to from his original program. In related news, N'Kosi Perry getting the start from Miami on Saturday. After coming off the bench at Virginia Tech, he threw for over 400 yards and 4 touchdowns against the Hokies. They were down by about $1 million, but he made it interesting there at the end.
They actually, after being down 28-0, they actually blew that game.
Yeah, in a roundabout way, sure.
They missed that extra point that would have put them up by 1.
Only Virginia Tech could let that happen at this point.
Yeah.
But you'll notice that the name I said was N'Kosi Perry, not Tate Martell.
Right. And N'Kosi Perry didn't come in to replace Tate Martell either.
Nope. He was the first one up when they were like, hey, this is going poorly.
Yep.
So is Tate Martell even ahead of Jimmy Murphy on the Miami depth chart?
We wouldn't know.
I mean, if it's emergency time at quarterback, are they going to go with the old 5'7" walk-on with all the swagger over Tate Martell? They might.
They might.
Which brings me to the greatest new game in the history of podcasts. It's called Where in the World Isn't Tathan Martell? Here's how it works. You have a place in mind, and I have a place in mind that we think Martell should have gone.
Mm-hmm.
If they had gone there, they would now be the starter. They would now actually be getting, Martell, would actually be the starter, would be getting reps, would be getting tape. And it's a pet peeve of both of ours when a guy transfers from a situation where he's going to be in a quarterback competition he doesn't like directly into another quarterback competition that he eventually loses.
Correct.
So if you're going to be a quarterback that transfers, don't do what Martell did. Don't do what Brandon Wimbush did. Don't do what the godfather of bad quarterback transfers, Mitch Mustang, did. Find a program where there is a fit. In this game, we will do just that. I think that made sense. I think this game will make sense. I'm not 100% sure.
It makes sense to us. Hopefully everyone else gets it.
We're going to find out.
Yeah.
I'll go first. That way, if it sucks really bad, they can blame
me. All right.
me.
So you're going to give me...
I'm going to give you the clues.
3 hints, right? Yeah.
Right. So here's... Yep. So I buried the lead there. 3 clues to tell me what school I'm thinking of.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't get it after 3, I'm not sure what happens.
I get slimed.
Yeah, slime. Can y'all work on that in the back, please? We need a slime Bracky if he doesn't get this right. Clue number 1. He would not have had to concern himself with the opinions of sheep if he had gone here.
Come to the FAU?
No, sir.
Okay.
Although that probably would have worked out fine, too. Clue number 2. His parents could have cut out a big old chunk of air travel if he'd have gone here.
Oh, UNLV?
Close, but no cigar. Clue number 3.
Okay.
This particular program was probably close to his last choice U when he was in high school.
Dang.
Activate the slime.
Yeah, get it ready because I'm about to get slimed. Can you repeat it one more time? Just so I can...
This particular program was very likely his last choice U when he was in high school.
Nevada?
Boom. Nevada. Hold the slime.
Yes.
Hold the slime. Nevada. Malik Henry.
Yep. That's how I finally pieced it together.
He's from, obviously, the Vegas area.
Yes.
Could have driven to Reno.
That was good.
And he would not have had to concern himself with the opinion of sheep because he would have been part of the wolf pack.
Yep. That's good. I don't like when you said that. For some reason, the come to the FAU, that like struck me as like something Lane Kiffin would tweet out, like like the meme of the Lions walking. That's why I guessed come to the FAU.
I thought you were gonna go Stanford there because you thought about it so long. I was like, he's gonna go Sherman, Stanford, which also might have worked out for him. Although I'm not gonna finish that. Malik Henry gets a start this week at Nevada.
He's starting this week, right? Yeah,
this week.
Okay, yeah.
That's after Carson Strong completed just 59% of his throws, threw more interceptions than touchdowns.
I really thought he was going to start like week 1 after that spring game performance.
So did I. Strong got the start against Purdue and actually balled. But
he did.
Since then, it's been all downhill. He ranks 128 in the country in QBR.
They
20.2.
got obliterated by Hawaii a couple of weeks ago.
They did.
And I remember watching that game, and this was 2 weeks ago, and you could see all the players' breasts like on the screen, and everyone's bundled up and everything. I'm like, what is going on out there? Because they were in Nevada, and it was cold.
It was cold?
Yes, it was cold. It threw me off because it's like 100 degrees here in Austin still every day.
Forever.
And it's cold there, and then Hawaii is just kicking the crap out of them somehow in the cold.
Good for Hawaii.
It was weird.
Missed that, saw the box score. If Martell goes to Nevada, he starts out of camp. They probably still lose to Oregon by about 400 points.
Mm-hmm.
They probably still lose to Hawaii in the cold, but maybe not, 54-6?
54-3.
54-3.
Yeah. They probably don't beat Weber State 19-13.
Probably not. And most importantly, we get 2 Netflix shows merging in one quarterback room with 2 of the most unlikable television quarterbacks of all time grouped together, which would have been an electric factory and a win for us all.
And then they should have done dueling Netflix shows. So you had QB1 through Martell's eyes with the quarterback competition, and then you had Last Chance U with Malik Henry.
Beautiful.
I told you, I'm my ideas guy today.
That's a wonderful idea. It's better than either of the most recent seasons of either of those shows. I'm with that. Okay, your turn.
Okay, my turn. My clues suck compared to what you just did. So, I'm the jackass that's not prepared. No, so because I could not think of good clues. So the first one, this team has 1 win on the season.
Oh, that's a terrible clue.
Yeah, I know. I told you.
To like do inventory on every one-win team.
No, we're gonna narrow it down.
UCLA.
Here, so. No. Good guess, though.
Woo.
Okay. This team will not make a conference championship game mainly because they are not in a conference.
Oh. UMass.
Yep, it's UMass.
UMass.
He would have walked on campus and been probably like the best player to have ever walked on that campus, maybe. I don't know. That might be giving him too much credit, but he would have walked in and been the starter. No questions asked.
I mean, Andy Isabella would like a word, but
fair.
But yeah, I actually love it.
Yeah,
and the ZooMass and UMass.
Exactly. You go to UMass, ball belt, really good offensive coach, and you just put up gaudy numbers. We talked about this before with him off air. Go somewhere where you can no quarterback competition. You start right away. You put up gaudy numbers. Because it gets people to notice you. It gets people to turn on your tape. And at worst chance, they're going to give you a shot because they don't know what you can do against the really good teams because you never played one. So they're going to give you a chance.
Absolutely.
And they probably do play somewhat good. They played like FIU.
BYU.
We went to a bowl game. They got BYU later in the year. You started with Rutgers to start the season. That's at least a Big Ten team. Army, Northwestern. So, yeah, you get chances to play against Power 5 schools.
Maybe just get hurt before the last 3 games.
Yeah.
Like just throw for like 8 million yards and then
don't play against Army.
Yeah, come
Northwestern,
up with a mysterious
BYU.
knee injury right before the Army Northwestern BYUs.
Yeah. But no, I don't know. You're still FBS. You can go to bowl games. It just felt like this guy. I mean, he didn't do this because he's got an ego. And the ego needs to...
Yeah, it's the same thing every time, man. I mean, it's the same reason that... I can't speak for Brandon Wimbush. I dropped his name earlier. Maybe he had a great reason for going to UCF. I don't know. But I do know the backstory on Mustaine, and the reason that he went to Southern Cal was because Damian Williams went to Southern Cal. And he couldn't let there's even more here. Williams won the Landers Arkansas State Player of the Year, despite the fact that Mitch won the Parade National Player of the Year. So there was kind of some anything you can do, I can do better type of situation there. And when Damian left Arkansas to go to SC, despite the fact that for Mitch it would have been much more favorable for him to go to Tulsa, Houston, Texas Tech. None of those three are USC, so he was just keeping up with the Joneses or the Williamses.
I literally when you first brought this idea to me, I looked at rankings from 1 to 130, and I got to 70 before I was like, okay, this school might be kind of a fit. 69 up through, it was no, they either have a quarterback or this wouldn't work.
Yeah, I mean that's
or you're gonna go somewhere in a room where you could lose.
That's the game, right? You find a program with a quarterback room that you know is going to be empty. The rest of the team might be good, like Kelly Bryant, for example. Kelly Bryant picked a program that doesn't suck, but the quarterback room was going to be empty because Locke was leaving, and there was very clearly not a replacement for him.
If you look at the other schools he was considering, it's the same way. Arkansas, North Carolina, because then you can redshirt the true freshmen they have going right now.
Yeah, Ben Hicks did a great job with that. Unfortunately for him, Starkville came over the top of him. That sucks. Bouchel did a great job of that going to SMU.
Bouchel did a great job.
I mean, I think
really Kendall did a good job.
Kendall did a great job. Yeah. It's not that hard. It's really not that hard. But guys like Martell let their ego get in the way. They end up in Miami now that they're a
Gardner Minshew's another great example last year.
Absolutely.
He was going to go be a graduate assistant at Alabama.
Yeah.
And Leach was like, hey, just come give it one more shot.
Yeah.
And now he's a legit NFL starter.
He's the new Florida man.
Yeah.
It's overcomplicated by the old ego, not necessary. So Nevada, UMass would have been awesome choices. Instead, you are higher on the wide receiver depth chart than you are the quarterback depth chart.
3 yards this year.
Well, we'll be looking out for you, Tate. If you actually get into a game, maybe we'll stop playing this game. But if you don't ever
2 yards, -1 against Florida.
Oh, that's unfortunate. You hate to play in a game and actually go backwards.
Yeah.
You want to do cover 4?
Let's do cover 4.
Good week for you last week. I don't consider the West Virginia loss a loss.
1-1. It shouldn't have been.
It went exactly how you thought it would.
Gosh darn stupid picks. Yeah, I literally called the shutout with the Kent State-Wisconsin game. And they bounced back just as I thought they would.
Just as you thought they would.
Jonathan Taylor continues to put up gaudy numbers. But this week, I think I'm picking on Miami again. I'm going to stick with the theme of picking on Miami that we've done this show.
Are you?
Yeah.
Because, here's the thing. We talk about our picks before the show. I don't remember this one being on your list.
Well, I think I just gave you Virginia +2, but that's who they're playing.
Did you really?
Yeah.
I gotta check the receipts here. Damn it, you did. All right, well, that's a bad job by me. I'll have to audible on my second pick and just really agree with your first one.
Did you have this one?
It's okay.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
That means you have to play it if we both agree on it.
That's a great point.
Yes.
This is actually a win for the viewer.
Someone in Vegas needs to call me, explain to me how Miami is the favorite here.
What? I don't understand.
I don't either. You just I guess. Well, look at the second half. They played really well. It's okay, Virginia is significantly better than Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
And now has all week to. A lot of times you see backups come in and have some success because the team was not prepared for what they were going to do. That quarterback. And now they know N'Kosi Perry is going to start.
Yeah, N'Kosi Perry has played against his team before.
And it didn't go well.
He threw the ball a half a dozen times, and 2 of those were to the wrong team.
And Virginia's good. They have 1 loss on the year to a really good Notre Dame team.
They led at halftime.
I know.
At Notre Dame.
I know.
We're going to penalize them, and we're going to overvalue Miami because they came back from down 1,000 against Virginia Tech.
Give me Bryce Perkins because he's a real quarterback.
All day. Yeah, you got it all. I couldn't agree more than I do right now. I'll go LSU.
I love it.
They are surrendering 3.5 points. I don't even really know what direction to go here, but it's another game that just really, the line doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
Wait, LSU surrendering 3?
Yeah.
It's 13.
What?
Yeah.
We're going to have to edit this out of the show.
We might.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
13.
Yeah.
Make another pick. I got to pick a new one.
Okay.
What are we doing here? Need my stats and information. Got to get it together.
Stats and information department is fired. All right, 1 second.
This is live television. Give me Utah minus 14. I don't know. I just picked the first one I saw. How about Missouri 8.5?
I like that. Yeah.
You got a new one yet?
Yeah. No, I can go.
Okay, go. Please
so
go.
This one, you guys might be scratching your head at this one, but I like Tennessee at home +7.
No, I'm not scratching my head at all. I think they can win that game outright.
Yeah, I do too.
It's like the last winnable game on their schedule.
I actually really liked what I saw out of that offense. It ran much better with the freshman than it did with Garantano at any point this season. They were in that game until halftime, and Georgia kind of pulled away there at halftime, and it was over. But Georgia's also probably like the second, third best team in the country, and Mississippi State is not that. They've struggled on offense this year. They lost at home to Kansas State, who turns out is not great. I don't know. This feels like a really nice spot for Tennessee to pick off someone they probably shouldn't beat, which they actually did a few times last year.
Yeah, that's kind of what they've been doing, is just randomly showing up on occasion, which is really not something I'm guessing their fan base loves a whole lot. Probably would like to win all the games that they are supposed to win.
I'm pretty sure last year they beat Auburn. Yeah, they beat Auburn last year. And Kentucky, when Kentucky was like really good. So give me Tennessee, good old Rocky Top, pulling the stunner.
All right, you can have it. I am going to kind of go on the fly here because you stole my first pick because I can't read. And I screwed up my second pick because I can't read. So moving on down the road here, I'm going to go North Texas. They're on the road at Southern Miss. They haven't looked great this year. I really can't figure out why.
It's weird.
Like, Mason Fine is still Mason Fine. He didn't, lose his powers, in the offseason. Seth Luttrell is still a good football coach last time I checked. They're coming off a bye. They look the same on paper as they look coming into the year.
Yeah.
I like their guys. Southern Miss is just Southern Miss. I mean, they're fine, but for them to be favored against North Texas seems a little weird to me. Give me North Texas to bounce back on the road. I'll take the 3.5 points.
I like that pick a lot.
And you know what? Let me have USC at Notre Dame.
I love it.
I don't even know why. I just have this gut feeling that USC is going to have something for Notre Dame.
Keaton Slovis is back and playing again. They get their big-time safety back, and I can't pronounce his name.
They're really good on offense at positions that you wouldn't necessarily expect because they don't have any household names. Nobody can name their running backs, but they got a stable of them that are all pretty effective. They've got some playmakers on the outside.
Yes, they do.
I mean,
Torched Utah with them.
Their wide receiver core is top 5 in the country. I think you could probably safely say, they got some absolute dudes out there. And when Slovis was right, he's been delivering the ball with a lot of success to the outside. So, yeah, I don't know, man. I think USC is better than people realize. I think Notre Dame is going to look a lot like they looked in the first half against Virginia, which is to say a little sleepy, not quite right. And if they give USC that opening, it could be a 14-point game at the half, and then Notre Dame's got to battle back. So,
you got 10 points too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I feel like you could actually have a pretty awesome cushion going into the third quarter of that game if things go right. So, give me Southern Cal getting the 10. Give me North Texas +3.5, +3 actually.
Oh, one more I wanted to do. So Tennessee's like my very good dog. I like them to just win outright. But Clemson giving 26.5 at home against Florida State.
I saw you mention that.
Yeah, for 2 weeks now, Clemson's just heard how much they stink.
They're not that good.
Yeah, and they had a bye week to kind of figure things out. I think Blackman's starting at quarterback again for Florida State. I don't think it matters. Clemson, the one bright spot for Clemson this year has been the defense. I think they forced a couple turnovers, and this one gets ugly.
I like that a lot. Totally see that. The line scares you away.
It's big. But
you're right about the psychology of it all. Clemson being told that they're not great.
Yeah.
Dabo does really well in that type of environment. And, maybe Trevor Lawrence needed to hear something other than how awesome he was.
Yeah. I'll tell him.
Okay, you just did. You know what time it is?
Is it Colonial time?
It is, in fact, Colonial time.
Heck yeah.
My preseason sleeper pick got on the board last week as Richmond knocked off Albany 24-20. Thanks in large part to our guy Maurice Jackson, who collected 3 sacks and a fumble recovery. Nice little run back on that fumble recovery as well. He can move.
Yeah, he is crazy impressive. Just does it all, literally.
I caught up with him midweek, and we talked about Richmond's mindset, both going into that game with kind of their back against the wall and now coming out of that game with everything in front of them. And where they're all at mentally and what he's doing as a leader to kind of continue to push this team forward now as they're about to enter a pretty tough stretch. You can check that out right now. All right, we are joined by Mo Jackson of Richmond, the preseason conference defensive player of the year. He's a guy who came into the season with all kinds of hype, and you know what? He's actually living up to it, which doesn't always happen. Through 5 games, we've got 5 sacks, we've got 3 hurries, 9 TFLs, 26 tackles, 2 forced fumbles, an interception, and a partridge in a pear tree. Look, Mo, we've talked about this before, but you didn't arrive at Richmond as an elite edge rusher. You linebacker in high school showed up. They put, you're playing 3 technique. And then along the way, some things start to change for you with regard to where they wanted to line you up. New coaching staff arrives, and now you are who you are. But for people that don't know, if you could just kind of rehash the journey to this day and the player that you've become.
Starting off in high school, I was recruited as a linebacker, safety, or running back type of guy. I got here, was a little bit overweight, so they ended up just making me play linebacker, which was fine. And then a couple injuries happened. It's my freshman year to our D-line. So they moved me to D-line just to have me there. I got some reps there for the second half of the season into the playoffs. So I stayed there when the new coaching staff came. They started me off at 3 tech, so I had to put on about 30 pounds to get to 270. Played that whole season at 3 tech. Then the next season, I was going to play 3 tech again, but some guys got shifted around, so they ended up moving me out to defensive end my junior year, which was last year. And, I lost about 20 pounds, 15 pounds from there. And ever since then, I've been at defensive end, and here we are.
Here we are. No doubt about that. Like I said, Defensive Player of the Year coming into the year. You were named the co-defensive player of the week after your performance against Albany. That involved all kinds of good stuff, including you collected an interception. The interception I mentioned, 3 sacks, forced fumble, all that in what was really a much-needed win for you guys, for Richmond. You seem, in particular, to be in the zone. Can you just take me into the performance from your perspective, what was going through your head on what wasn't necessarily a career day, because you've had some good days, but on definitely one of your better outings?
I just, from the get-go, starting off on about Friday, I just knew that we really needed to win. I thought we had a good game plan going into it, so kudos to our coaches for really putting us in great spots to win our matchups. I knew by the energy we had in the locker room pregame that it was going to be a good one. We were all fired up, including the D-line. We all knew this was a big game for us whenever we needed to show up on filming, which is exactly what we did. So shout out to those guys. Kobe Ridden, Kobe Turner had a great day as well. Gershon Mijoni, all of those guys, Caleb Brooks, Darius Reynolds, they all did a great job up front. Our back end did well too, and our offense executed the way they needed to. So, just going into the game, I could just feel the complete overall sense that everybody really wanted to win this game and knew what they had to do it, and that's what happened. So, really good going into the game.
Look, man, you said it, and that was really the follow-up is, as a team, the sense of urgency in the locker room. Could you feel a different vibe amongst your teammates? And obviously you could. So I would pivot just a bit, and I would ask, you go in, you win the opener. And it's a season you're coming into with a lot of confidence and maybe not outside expectation, but, we were there. Definitely some expectation within the facility, within that locker room. You win the first game, everything is great, but when, take a little slide, a little losing streak. What is it like as one of the leaders on a team to try to pull people back out of that and get everybody looking ahead again with everything still out in front of you?
It's a tough job, I'd have to say, to admit. It's a tough job, especially when as a person, you might be one of those guys that almost gets down in the dump too. But it takes a good leader to be able to keep yourself up and to be able to keep your team up. So, that's what I try to do. That's what my other two captains, Daniel Jones and Sam Tathan, tried to do. We all tried to make sure that everyone knew that it wasn't over. Way too early in the season to be that down and to think that everything's downhill. We got a lot of football left to play. We still got a lot of football left to play. So we have to just keep our minds on getting better every day, getting better every week, so that we can continue to try and win these games and to achieve what we want to achieve at the end.
Look, I'm not going to toot my own horn here or anything just because I've got you, but I will say that on the very first episode of Colonial Time, I did go on record as having said that Richmond was my sleeper team in the league this year, and the 2-3 start, or the 1-3 start, I should say, did not deter me. I'm still riding with you guys because everything you're welcome, but make me look smart, please. Everything is still out there. I mean, the first 5 games, really inconsequential down the stretch. You've obviously Maine this weekend, Delaware, Stony Brook, Villanova, JMU. I mean, that's the top of the league right there. They're all still left on the schedule. So what's the approach? What's the mindset moving forward? How are you guys attacking maybe the second half of the season differently than you were thinking about the first half?
At least personally for me, I know that the second half is the most important. That's where most of our CAA play comes into play. And not only that, but these are the top teams in the CAA that we're playing. So these are all going to be big games for us, but we're not going to make it any bigger than it is. They're big games because we're playing them. That's pretty much it. So we're just going to go out there with the same mindset that we've had every game, and that's just to go out there and execute and win. We're playing good opponents, and they're all doing very well at this point to the season. So, we just got to keep doing our job and keep tunnel vision, as they would say. Just look forward to what we got to do each week.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's a CAA, so you can't really look more than a week ahead because every opponent you're going to have in that league is the real deal. When half the league is in the top 25, that's not by accident. You could say the first day of the rest of y'all's lives is Saturday against Maine. And that's a team that, defending CAA champs, and they themselves have run into some bumps this year. A start kind of similar to what you guys have been through. And really, if you look back and forth between both the teams, you can find a lot of parallels. What is it about Maine that you've noticed? What do we know about them so far, aside from what we thought we already knew, which is that they're dominant on defense and they're going to throw it a lot on offense?
They still stuck to most of those things, I would say, for the most part. But besides the 2-3 start, they're still a great team. They're still the defending champs. They still have a lot of talent. That they didn't lose a lot of talent from last year. So we still know they got guys over there that can make plays. So there's no putting them down because of their record. We still got to go out there and play who we're playing just because that's who we're playing against. We got to keep our tunnel vision, as I already said, and just keep preparing to do what we got to do and win how we want to win. So, we're ready for a challenge because we know it's going to be a hard-fought battle against Maine. It always has been since we've been playing them. So I'm pretty excited about this one.
That game can be watched live on FloFootball.com and the Flo Sports app, and it is must-see. But honestly, any game that number 36 is playing in is must-see TV because my guy's an animal out there. Mo Jackson, thanks so much for the time, as always, my man. Best of luck Saturday, and I'm sure I'll be catching up with you in no time.
Appreciate you. Thanks for having me.
Mo's a beast.
He's really good, man.
He is a beast, but I'll tell you what, man, if Richmond is going to keep going, and I hope they do because I like being right, it's going to take more than just 36.
Mm-hmm.
That remaining schedule is the toughest in the championship subdivision, and likely by a pretty wide margin. They go to number 18 Maine, live on Flo. Then they have undefeated Yale. Then they go to number 15 Delaware, live on Flo. Then they have number 22 Stony Brook. That's homecoming. That's not what you want to do with homecoming.
No.
Live on Flo, sorry. Live on Flo. And then they close at number 5 Villanova, live on Flo. And at number 2 JMU, live on Flo. Before the Capital Cup against William & Mary, live on Flo.
Yeah.
That's woof, dude.
Yeah.
That sucks. I mean, William & Mary's looked really good.
After that, Yale, they go to a ranked Maine team this week. Yale in between. And then 5 straight top 25 teams.
Yeah.
4 of them on the road.
I mean,
well, there's 4 ranked teams.
4 ranked teams. I didn't want to hop in there, although maybe I should have hopped in there and corrected you.
Sorry, 4 ranked teams, 3 of them on the road. That is not fun.
You're right. And the one that's not ranked, again, William & Mary, it's a rivalry game. They've looked much improved under Mike London.
Mm-hmm.
That is not necessarily going to be an easy one for Richmond either. So, sleeper pick, sticking with them, riding with the Spiders. But, boy, They got to get something going offensively. I think that Bo English has looked really promising of late, but my man's got to explode down the stretch.
Yeah.
We need to see all the tools, and if we get, all of Bo English has to offer with that wide receiver group, and Mo doing his thing on defense, anything can happen. And as a team, all you can ask is that everything is on the table out in front of you and that you control your own destiny.
Yep.
And Richmond does. The biggest game of the year, at least to date.
Oh, baby.
Harrisonburg, Virginia, Saturday afternoon. Number 2 JMU, undefeated 5th-ranked Villanova.
Mm-hmm.
Nova enters the game after, again, a sneaky tough contest against William and Mary, where William and Mary, they showed a lot of tenacity. They fought back in some spots.
How about them just completely changing from what they did all year? They started Hollis Mathis and ran the ball everywhere.
Yeah.
And then they're just like, nope, going to pass the ball all over the yard today.
Yeah. Tough to prepare for.
Yeah.
Brennan Marion's done a really good job of making that offense multiple and making them a really tough team to game plan for.
Seriously.
Which is, man, look, that's part of it. You come into a new program like that, maybe you don't quite have the personnel that you want to run the offense that you've got. You can't just run into a brick wall every time and insist on things going the way that you see them going on your whiteboard. And Marion's done a great job of being versatile and working with what he's got. So shouts to him. Shouts to William and Mary, but this is not about William and Mary. This is about the team they just lost to, being Villanova, and they are now 6-0. And then JMU edged Stony Brook in one of the best games I've seen this year.
It was awesome.
A game that literally came down to the final inches on the final throw of the game.
Yeah. A dime by Tyquell Fields, and just off the receiver's fingertips in the end zone that would have sent it to a second overtime.
Can you care to assess the JMU Villanova matchup in particular?
First off, I just want to start. So I've been seeing the Villanova Twitter account talk about 88 strong, and I didn't know what that meant. And then they put out a video today. They have 88 players on their roster. And they're in the video they're talking about how most schools have over 100.
Yeah.
It's like we have 88. And then so this 88 strong, and then the 0-9 mentality.
The 0-9 thing is my favorite thing.
Yeah,
ever.
that our man Covington talked about on here a few weeks ago, where they had 0 preseason all-conference players and were picked 9th in the CAA, has just fueled this this redemption tour they're calling it, which I love. And JMU next up on the list. They kind of got beat down at home last year. Villanova did, but this is completely JMU. It's a completely different team. With Daniel Smith at the helm, and man, is Villanova going to be able to run the ball against that JMU front?
Yeah, I mean, look, that's right here in the notes, man. That's maybe the best defensive line in all of the FCS. Obviously, we talk about them every week, but Rondell Carter, John Daka, those guys, they're not easy to run against. Stony Brook found some success though on the ground, and you wonder if Villanova can capitalize on that. I mean, Daniel Smith isn't exactly going to have an easy-going day through the air either, with Rashad Robinson obviously anchoring that secondary and a lot of speed and talent on the back end as well. For JMU, it's a question of defensively, can you put it all together? There's no questioning the talent on that side of the ball. There's just been a few lapses in the last few weeks that have made things more interesting than they probably would have hoped.
Yeah, and the one thing that could be interesting too is, JMU's putting up serious points this year. And the Villanova defense has given, when they played really explosive offense in Towson, they gave up 45. Did hold an explosive main team to 17, and then 28 last week to William and Mary. So be careful you don't let this one get too far out in front, maybe if JMU starts fast.
Well, so that's exactly, I think, the biggest factor in determining the winner of this game is who comes out of the gates the fastest, because you're looking at two teams. JMU's plus 35 in the first quarter this year. Nova's plus 44 in the first quarter this year.
Oh, my gosh.
So it's two teams that rank among the nation's leaders in first quarter margin. Something has to give. They can't both jump out to a big lead. So who does? Because in front of 25,000 people at Bridgeport Stadium,
sold out.
If it's JMU out to the early lead, that's going to put even more pressure on Villanova. That can start to feel heavy. But conversely, if it's Villanova that jumps out to the big early lead, take the crowd out of the game. Now those 25,000 don't matter anymore. So I think it's very important that these teams start fast, and whoever does is going to obviously. I mean, it's not. I'm not breaking news. Hey, whoever scores a lot and takes the lead early is more likely to win.
Yeah.
But I think with these two teams and the way that they're built, and both of them really loving to move the ball on the ground as well, it's not going to be easy to come back from a big deficit. Which is why it's important that both of them get out to the big early lead. Because once they get out to that lead, they start, in JMU's case, handing the ball off to half the team. In the case of Villanova, giving that thing to 3. And in either case, that's the roadmap to victory. So whoever can get out in front early, get to that blueprint, either take the crowd out or get the crowd involved, I think they have a huge edge going into the second, third, and fourth quarter.
Yeah, totally agree with you.
Not only do we have Nova at JMU this week, we will also have Richmond at Maine, which we already alluded to. Big test for Richmond on the road, looking to build on some of that momentum coming off the Albany win. Delaware is at Elon this week. Elon is in desperate need of a bounce back. Delaware, meanwhile, has looked really impressive after that North Dakota State loss.
Yes, almost knocked off Pitt, who got another win somehow against Duke.
Pitt might actually be not terrible.
Yeah.
Might be good.
I really struggle to say that because they play this not great game against Ohio. They beat UCF. They almost lose to Delaware, and then almost blow a huge lead to Duke. I don't know.
Jury's out. We'll come back to it.
Yeah.
Delaware's coming off a bye. Elon's having trouble. Delaware's at Elon, live on Flow. Albany at Towson. Towson's coming off a bye. They needed to get healthy. That's a big spot for them to get a break. Not a great spot for Albany, coming off the tough loss at Richmond, now going on the road to Towson. That game live on Flow. And New Hampshire, who's red hot, going to Stony Brook, who looks as good as any team in the country.
Seriously.
Listen, if JMU is number 1 or number 2, and we all think that they are, you go toe-to-toe with them the way that Stony Brook did. It's great that they moved up in the poll the way that they did. I appreciate that.
I do too. Good job, voters.
But, man, I mean, I can make an argument for you that Stony Brook is one of the 5 or 10 best teams in the country right now. So that's a tough spot for New Hampshire. But, again, they've been red hot lately.
3 in a row.
Yeah, absolutely. 3 in a row. All of the above. Live on FloFootball.com and the Flow Sports app. And if it's up to me, I think that you should definitely be there. All right. This is the end of the show. Most likely. Have I forgotten anything?
I don't know. You want to talk about anything else?
I mean, I owe you the opportunity to gloat about the Packers.
No.
If you're interested.
No, I'm not. Obviously, very happy about the win. I'm not going to sit here and gloat because I wouldn't want to sit here and listen to you gloat if the Cowboys had won.
I would never.
No, I'm not going to talk about it. It was a weird game, officiated really weird from start to finish. Not how I envisioned it playing out whatsoever, but
No, some weird officiating. I heard that A-Rod cussed out a ref.
I did too.
Which is weird because Garrett definitely didn't cuss a ref out. He might have said a bad word. How Jerry put it?
You know what? Yeah, he said, I hope the little darling didn't hear anything he never heard before.
I hope the little darling didn't either, but I'm going to guess he probably heard it again there shortly after.
You know what I think it was? I think it was because he threw the flag down and he showed him up. Because he threw the flag better than the officials.
Into outer space, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. So he was like, oh, yeah? You can throw your flag down? I can throw my flag up.
Like he got hung up in the Jumbotron.
Yeah.
That's how high he threw it. It was stupid. It was the dumbest thing. They should write a letter to that official reprimanding him for being unprofessional. Did not appreciate it.
They should write one on the official who called Rashawn Gary for roughing the passer when Dak ran for 30 yards.
Well, yeah, I would tend to agree with that. They should also then maybe write a letter about Amari Cooper getting called for pass interference every 4 plays for the entire season.
And then they should write a letter to the official who called a false start when that ball hit Cobb in motion when there was no false start.
All right, fine. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate our performance today?
Oh, 12.
12?
This was a good show.
I was going to go 13. I'll go 12. We'll compromise.
We introduced a new segment.
We did a new segment. I feel like it went well.
We should do that with someone else who transferred. Or
I think we should do it until Tate Martell actually gets to play in a game for real.
Okay. Just keep coming up with new schools?
Keep up with new schools.
Okay. I will have better clues next time, too.
Okay. All right. That's a deal. The last thing we have left to do is just remind the people what the key to running the bootleg is.
It's doing it naked.